As the season has gone on, the Toronto Raptors have become the master of the tank. But at a certain point, there comes a difference between tanking and getting downright embarrassed on a night-to-night basis, and it really feels as though that's where the Raptors currently sit. So, how bad is this Raptors team actually, and how bad should they be? Because surely it shouldn't be this bad. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. This is Amateur Sports 2, the second channel in the Amateur Hour Production Network for additional Toronto Raptors content and videos just like this. If you enjoy what you see, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel as well to keep up to date with everything we have coming your way. And for the Raptors, it's a 15-game losing streak. That's something that I can absolutely handle with this team. They committed to a tank, and rightfully so. I'm going to preface this by saying I think rightfully so this team committed to a tank. I think that they waited a little bit too long to do it. However, it has not cost them in any way whatsoever. A 15-game losing streak has done more than enough with the Memphis Grizzlies picking up games every so often, picking up wins here and there. So the Toronto Raptors, they've slumped to 23-53 on the season. Still not even a bottom 4 team in the Eastern Conference despite that 15-game losing streak. But as I said, the Grizzlies are picking up wins here and there, and they've improved to 26-50. So the Raptors currently have a pretty much locked-in spot to be top 6 in lottery odds, and that's going to provide them about a 45% chance at using their top 6 protected picks sent to the San Antonio Spurs in the upcoming NBA draft. Now, 45% is not a whole lot when you're losing games like this and you've lost 15 in a row, but I assure you 45% is a lot higher than the chance the Raptors had of actually making the play-in tournament, especially considering where the season has gone at this point. 15 losses in a row, but the manner in which some of these games are going down. 2 separate 40-point losses in the last 8 days. They've lost by 40 points 3 times in the space of 33 days or so. They are just carpet bombing their list of the worst losses in Raptors history. Like, you go to that list now, you see 2024 everywhere. It's the number 1 on the list now with that recent loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. 48-point loss, April 3rd, 2024. It's March 27th, 2024. A 44-point loss to the New York Knicks at home, the worst home loss in franchise history, which beat the record set on March 5th, 2024. A 41-point loss at home to the New Orleans Pelicans. So it was actually 3 40-point losses in the space of under 30 days. Prior to that 30-day stretch with 3 40-point losses, the Toronto Raptors had only lost by 40 or more points on 6 occasions. Really making some history here. And I recognize, hey, we're in a higher scoring era. It's easier to lose by this much than it was, 25 years ago. But still, this is pretty ridiculous. And, you go further down the list. Once again, the Raptors are present here. A 38-point loss to the Pelicans at the start of February. You go further down, the Raptors are once again on this list with a 34-point loss at home to the Sacramento Kings on March 20th. They're just all over the list right now of the largest losses in Raptors history. But how bad is this team actually? How bad should they be? Like, I'm okay again with 15 losses in a row, but at a certain point, I'd like to keep games within 40. I'd like to keep games, within 20. Like, the spreads for these games are typically 17, 18 points. That's the best indication we have of what the final score should likely reflect, losing by about 20 points. And when they lose by 20, I come away from a lot of these 20-point losses, like the loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 123-103, March 22nd. And I thought the Raptors played as best as they could. I thought they did what they could. They hung around as long as they could and overall just got beaten by the better team. They hung around a little bit longer. And the caliber of the lineup there wasn't terrific either. I get, there's actual NBA players all over the starting 5 with Bruce Brown, Javon Freeman, Liberty, Kelly Olynyk, Ochai Agbaji, Grady Dick, maybe, 4 actual NBA players who will be on the team very likely next season. But even still, with the spreads reflecting the likely outcomes of the game, can we keep it within 30 against the Minnesota Timberwolves? I get that's a team fighting for the 1 seed in the Western Conference, but it's just seemingly on a night-to-night basis this Raptors team is just getting absolutely embarrassed. And sure, embarrassing losses can happen, but like it's all the time right now. And we go to other teams like the Portland Trailblazers in a similar situation to the Raptors. They just won a game, but they were on a 10-game losing streak. But even though, they had a 60-point loss to the Heat, it hasn't stooped that low for the Raptors. But other than that, they've maintained competitiveness a lot more often than the Raptors have, even amidst that 10-game losing streak. And they're lower in the standings than the Raptors are. And even we can go further to the Memphis Grizzlies. When the Raptors started this tank, the huge pushback was, there's no way the Raptors are going to catch the G.G. Jackson Memphis Grizzlies in the tank race. 1 week later, they caught them. And now they're 3 games below them in the standings because this team is picking up wins here and there. In fact, they just picked up a win against the Milwaukee Bucks. Look at the lineup they had. Like Jaren Jackson played. I know he's good. But G.G. Jackson, Trey Jemison, Luke Kennard, and Scottie Pippen Jr. started with him. They just beat the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis in action. How is that even possible? Like, I know Dame isn't here, but my goodness. They're picking up wins here and there. It's not like the Raptors haven't played some injury-riddled teams. So I don't really know what I want here. I wanted the tank. I'm happy they are tanking. But at a certain point in just watching these games, maybe they won't have an overall effect on the season or future negatively, but I don't necessarily care as much about the fact that they're losing. It's just the manner in which that they are losing these games. I just still feel as though they can do more than this. I look at the tanking team of years past. The last time the Raptors tanked was, of course, the Tampa season, where they successfully tanked to bottom 7 spot in the standings, 7th best odds, the number 1 overall pick. End up getting the 4th overall pick, of course, drafting Scottie Barnes. Great stuff. Worked out there. But I look at the caliber of players involved there. That Raptors team was 27-45 that year. It was the COVID-shortened season. The current Raptors are 23, so 4 less losses than what that team had, and 53. So 8 more losses than that team had. So this team is even worse than that Tampa team, who had still nobody available, non-NBA players available. And that Tampa team played every single game away from home. They played in Tampa. Every home game was played in Tampa Bay. Those were not home games. And just, even if you think that the lineup for that Raptor game against the Timberwolves was bad, and it was bad. It was Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick. It was Garrett Temple. It was Malik Williams. And it was Jalen McDaniels. Look at the lineup that played the final game of the season for the Raptors in that Tampa season. Only 6 players dressed. Malachi Flynn, Stanley Johnson, DeAndre Bembry, Kem Birch, Freddie Gillespie, and Aaron Baines. You can't tell me this lineup is better than what the Raptors had. You cannot tell me. And this team kept it close against the Pacers. A 500 Pacers team, just under. 12-point loss. They had Sabonis, Brissett, McDermott, Justin Holiday, Karis LeVert, T.J. McConnell. 6 actual NBA players. Goga Bitadze, a 7th. 2 guys I don't recognize, to be fair. But actual NBA players. How about us? Aaron Baines, this was his final NBA game out of the league. Freddie Gillespie, this was his final NBA game out of the league. Kem Birch, out of the league a year and a half later. DeAndre Bembry, out of the league a year later. Stanley Johnson, scraped some small contracts for 2 more years, but out of the league 2 years later. Malachi Flynn, what's funny is at the start of yesterday, I would have said probably out of the league at the end of this season, but Malachi Flynn out of nowhere just had a 50-point game to make matters worse for the Toronto Raptors. Same day they lose by 48, former Raptor Malachi Flynn has a 50 bomb against the Atlanta Hawks. Malachi Flynn currently has the lowest points per game of any player in NBA history to score 50 points in a game. Now, I'm not saying this wow, I can't believe we traded him. Far from it. Malachi Flynn, like I just said, I thought would have been out of the league at the end of the season. This 50-point game might have actually saved his NBA career. But why I bring this up Not only is it to add insult to injury, but it's just like, even in that Tampa season, there were some games that just like, there were some fun games here and there. There was some fun performances here and there. Like Stanley Johnson had a 30-point game. Malcolm Flynn had a 27-point game. Yuta Watson might have had a 30-point game. Paul Watson Jr. had a 30-point game. Jalen Harris had a 30-point game. Like, there's these fun games here and there. There was some structure to those teams. It looked like they actually were trying to win, and it just couldn't really happen. Like they kept it competitive. They kept with a good game strategy on a night-to-night basis. They actually prepared for their opponents. And you got some fun performances, like Kyle Lowry's final game for the Raptors. The Raptors go into LA, Staples Center, and beat the Lakers. Lowry drops 37. Siakam drops 39 in LA, playing against Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Like, those games just are not happening for this current Raptors team. And look, I want them to tank, and I think tanking is good, but you know, you see Delano Banton, he's putting up some amazing numbers right now with the Trailblazers. I don't think that's going to sustain. Malcolm Flynn drops 50 points. Like, just every now and then, there's a game they actually play well, or there's a good individual performance to look at, like an insane individual performance to look at. And this current Raptors team just has none of that. Like, there's been, like, no glimmer of hope in here other than RJ Barrett quickly returning. They're playing pretty well. Like, Grady Dick is consistently putting up solid numbers, but nothing, like, outrageous. I don't know what I want, because I did want the tank, and I want them to lose. I think it's great that they're now 3 full games under the Memphis Grizzlies in the tank standings. But at a certain point, like, it can't just be 5 guys in Raptors uniforms just taking whatever shot they want. But I don't know. A lot of these guys won't be here next season anyways, so I'm really contradicting myself and saying, like, you know, what's the point of bringing in all this strategy? You want them to lose. These guys won't be here. Why does it matter? Everything. But from a fan perspective, all I'm saying is just I expected a little bit more. I did. I expected something. I expected some wins here or there to kind of just remember, like, okay, there's still some decent stuff here. And, you know, maybe part of it's coaching. Maybe, like, they have very little to work with. I get that. You can't really downgrade coaching in a stretch like this. Can't really downgrade your thoughts on a coach, but you certainly can upgrade it. Memphis picking up wins here or there with the G.G. Jackson Grizzlies. Taylor Jenkins, I already thought he was a good coach. Man, he's a great coach. He's piecing together wins with this team. We can't even do that. We couldn't even do that when we had, like, healthy amount of players. Like, you know, obviously not Barnes, obviously not Pirtle, but we can't even do that right now. So, I don't know. Just a little bit disappointing how it's been this bad. I recognize that they're bad, very bad, really, really, really bad, but too many 40-point losses. You have the largest losing streak in franchise history, likely. Largest losing in franchise history, 16. Currently at 15, with a game against the Bucks coming up. I just expected a little bit more. Am I wrong? Am I going too far? What were your thoughts on everything? Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me if you disagree with me in the comments down below. That's all from me. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel. And remember to check out my other channels here. My main channel, my reactions channel, this channel. You gotta be subscribed to this one. And another video you may like right down here from my main channel. I'll see you again next time for another video. I'll probably have one coming out tomorrow.